Welcome back to Generative AI 101, the podcast where we make sense of the tangled web of AI and generative AI. I'm Emily Laird, your bartender at this wild party, and today we're getting cozy with DALL-E, the brainchild of OpenAI. You've probably heard of it, DALL-E, the AI that can whip up anything from a DALL-E-inspired melting clock to a futuristic city skyline in seconds. But what exactly makes this thing tick, and how did we even get here? Let's break it down. Welcome to Generative AI 101. All right, let's get into it. To understand DALL-E, you've got to go back to 2021 when OpenAI introduced it to the world. Now, don't let the quirky name fool you. It's inspired by Salvador Dali, the surrealist artist, and Pixar's WALL-E. So DALL-E is a mashup of imaginative creativity and futuristic tech. What it does is no less surreal. It generates images based purely on text. You type something like a two-headed flamingo playing chess, and DALL-E says, sure, here's that exact fever dream. But how does it pull that off? So the secret lies in a type of AI model called a transformer, specifically a variation of OpenAI's GPT architecture. And we've talked about this, right? You might have heard of GPT. Yep, the same family of models behind ChatGPT. DALL-E takes that same language model concept and trains it on images using a whopping data set of text-image pairs. Think of it like teaching a kid to draw, but instead of crayons and paper, this kid's got access to every image on the internet. Not a bad start. So at its core, DALL-E uses what's called a diffusion model in its latest version, DALL-E 3. Without going too deep into the weeds here, because no one's got time for that, it basically works by turning random noise into meaningful images. So imagine starting with a staticky TV screen, and with each pass, it slowly sharpens into an image that matches the prompt you fed it. That's the magic here. It's predicting what pixels should look like based on what it's learned from millions of examples. Now, you might have heard about generative adversarial networks, or GANs, in the world of AI art. While GANs played a huge role in earlier image generation technologies, DALL-E doesn't actually use GANs. Instead, the diffusion model approach has proven to be more stable and versatile for this particular kind of image generation. So while GANs were kind of the pioneers, diffusion models are what powers DALL-E's impressive ability to turn text into detailed images. Here's where DALL-E really shines, so you can get absurdly specific with your prompts. You want a Victorian-era cat lounging in a French cafe reading the newspaper? Done. It's not just about art either. Designers use it to whip up product mockups, marketers brainstorm ad campaigns, and creators visualize entire worlds. The tool is ridiculously versatile and used in wide spaces of business and industry, as well as higher education and below. But a quick tip for you with DALL-E enthusiasts out there: be clear, but don't micromanage. I found if you overwhelm the model with too many details, like asking for a hyper-realistic velociraptor wearing a tuxedo sipping a martini in a 1980s style Miami bar, whoa, it might stumble. DALL-E really thrives on creative freedom, and I've talked about this on the podcast a lot. These models shine when you let them kind of play conductor. So give it enough to work with, but let it riff a little. You might be surprised by how well it improvises. So now, of course, like every flashy tool, DALL-E has its limits, okay? So it's not great at some things like hands. It's getting better, but not perfect. Yes, AI struggles to make a human hand look like, well, a human hand. The model's also not perfect at grasping some abstract concepts, and bias can creep into images depending on the data it was trained on. Then there's, of course, the ethical side. So you've got people concerned about deepfakes or the AI art industry taking away from human artists. OpenAI is aware of this, which is why they've put in safeguards like filtering out harmful or explicit content and making sure DALL-E's output doesn't stray too far into the creepy or offensive. which we've seen some of lately from other models, if you're paying attention. So that's DALL-E in a nutshell. An AI that reads your mind, or at least your text, and paints it into reality. The nice thing is DALL-E is simply accessed through ChatGPT, so you can prompt into ChatGPT to create an image of, and then write your elegant, fun, playful, whatever prompt. Let the robot get funky with the art. DALL-E's got something for you up its sleeve. Just remember, the more imaginative your prompt, the more fun you'll have. So that's it for today's episode. If you want to connect, you can find me on LinkedIn. Just search for Emily Laird, Laird, and let's keep the conversation going. For those of you reaching out with your AI creations, wow, I'm actually super impressed. I got a really cool one of a cat DJing a space party. I got some other really cool spaces that were using it for their corporate PowerPoint slides, so that was neat. So yeah, keep it coming. Until next time, stay curious, stay adventurous, and remember, you know more about DALL-E now than you did 5 minutes ago.